The City of Waterloo, in cooperation with its many active and inspiring entities, presents Heart for the City, a chance to hear and see what's going on in our city and to meet people who serve you, teach you, entertain you, help you, all neighbors and like you. Make this a city on the move. And now, here's our host, the Honorable Quentin Hart.
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us on Heart for the City. I'm Quentin Hart, proud mayor of Waterloo. And we have another fine show lined up for you, reinforcing what we already know, and that Waterloo is a wonderful place to live, work, learn, and play. So let's get started. According to a recent Gallup poll, more than 6 in 10 Americans consider themselves to be fans of professional football, and many more follow college and high school football as well. That's a lot of beer and chips also, and we can add wings too. But there is a program that fosters a small group of participants that engage in football for fun and much more. And this program utilizes football as a way to give boys who may be at-risk students a path to positive purpose and direction in their lives. How did this program come about? What is it and how is it working? Stay with us and we will have details on this important and extraordinary creative program for kids after this.
Tonight here, a KWW follow-up report, footwork and conditioning. It's an outside-the-box approach here area from an Eastern Iowa police chief to get boys off the streets and onto the field.
That's right. Using football, this 12-week program aims to give kids purpose and direction. And as KWW's Elizabeth Amanier learned, these boys definitely have the odds stacked against them.
Abby, these at-risk boys as young as 13 and 14 years old are growing up with violence, abuse, and poverty all in the mix. It's hard to see outside your own world, especially when you see the odds against you. And that's why the name of the game is the Hail Mary Project. This isn't your typical Friday night lights, because the lights these boys are playing under are on a much grander scale than just this field.
They're good kids. Some of them just been dealt a bad hand.
Using football, the Hail Mary Project is giving these boys a hard and fast lesson on life.
You see football, but what's happening is there's bonding, there's trust being built between the mentors and the kids.
It started as a vision for Waterloo police officer Justin Brandt, how to keep each and every one of these boys off the streets and out of trouble. And now he has the help of volunteer coaches and UNI football players.
I know what this could do and what the sport could mean to somebody, so it's just fun to see that happen.
For the boys, like 7th grader Quatsale Watson, this is their Hail Mary.
Because it lets out all my anger and it helps me with sports too and get muscles.
And for others like 8th grader Elijah Spicer, it's learning to choose the people you have on your team.
Just to be more positive, because everybody here is positive, wants you to do well. Like if you drop the ball, they want you to get back up and try again.
Always keeping your eye on the ball.
If they walk away from here, they're not getting in trouble. They're not getting referrals or suspensions at school. They're not getting in trouble with the police. And that's a win for them, it's a win for us.
And looking to score big with this Hail Mary.
Football's my favorite sport. I don't know, I want to go to the NFL someday.
Now the other part of this is also coaching these boys to become men after football. They have a little classroom work where they have conversations on topics like respect, bullying, gender violence, and integrity. Elizabeth Amani at News 7 KWWL.
Amid all the remarkable things going on and the abundance of opportunity available in our city, there are still youth who have grown up in a negative environment. But helping kids realize that there is an alternative to a dark future is an out-of-the-box concept. And the concept promises to have a significant effect in showing a way to achieve a bright future. With us to describe this program is Officer Justin Brandt of the Waterloo Police Department. And he is the originator of the program he calls the Hail Mary Project. So welcome, Officer Brandt.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Well, thank you so much. You know, very exciting program, very close to your heart. But before we get into some of the mechanics of the program, tell us a little bit about your regular work and what you actually do.
I am assigned to the patrol division here with Waterloo Police Department. I've been on patrol since I got hired in 2009. And through the course of that, I've had the opportunity to encounter many, many families who are struggling because of socioeconomic issues.
Right.
People who have family members incarcerated, and so what I've had the, I guess you could call it the misfortune of seeing over the last several years is this continuation of behaviors from one generation to the next, and so that's essentially where this whole idea came from.
So it is taking a look at the conditions that you work with citizens on, from the young people to just the continuation of negative things happening in their life. So that's kind of how you got to this point, because you wanted to do something about it to kind of change the choices that people were making and change their futures too.
Right.
So that led to the Hail Mary Project. So what is the project?
It's a sports-based youth development program that uses football as the big draw to get the students in, and so that's the fun part. So it's a strength, conditioning, speed and agility training program, but we're also working on the fundamentals of the sport. And it's basically an off-season football program.
Right.
I've been asked, why don't we do other things? And well, I don't know many other things.
Right.
When it comes to art or other things like volleyball or stuff. So that's why we decided on football. But it's one of those sports where it encompasses so many important values, that relates to life as far as success.
So, you play a little bit of football too, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but it's interesting because young people in general need an outlet, something that they enjoy. So to be able to put the strength and conditioning portion in there, but the foundation of what you're trying to do is try to help them realize positive futures. So football is the vehicle in which to transport them to that. But how has this program helped kind of bridge the gap between youth and actually police department?
It's gone surprisingly well. Initially, my big thing was to disassociate it from the police department, just because the climate that we're in, and in this day and age where there's a lot of tension between the police and a lot of our society members. Surprisingly, what I'm picking up on is people are seeing past the uniform. They're saying that he's just a guy like anybody else, and he has fun too. He is relatable.
Right.
So I think they're seeing that they can be friendly towards the police.
And it's interesting because Dr. King, and we're in April, and it's the 50-year commemoration, talked about judging a person by the content of their character. And so when the community, and from the program that you're working with, when folks are able to look and see your heart and what you're trying to do, and vice versa on the other end, because you also be in a situation sometimes where you see people at their worst, and you have to make decisions based upon the content of a person's character. So I love the whole angle and everything that you're doing with the program. What ages are you serving though right now?
Initially it was designed for 6th or 8th graders, so 12 to 14-year-olds. We've got a couple 11-year-olds and a few 15-year-olds in. And so, what I've done is I look at certain people and I'm like, there's something going on. A lot of times you can see it in their eyes, and they want to be a part of something. And so how can you justify saying no just because they don't meet the age bracket? So we're letting them in, and we're doing what we can with them.
And I know some very talented girls that play football too. Are they able to play as well, or?
We have a young lady enrolled.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
And how long has this been in existence, and when does it take place?
Friday afternoons after school is when it takes place. We're going into our 5th session right now. So we had 4 weeks, and then we took a bye week for spring break, which was needed. It gets kind of stressful, getting everything coordinated. But it's worth it. And
one of the parts. So we know football is the vehicle, but what you're teaching them, you know, there's different issues that our young people face, from being able to deal with, you know, violence or gender issues. But how are you working to bridge that gap in those areas?
So we partnered up with the Center for Violence Prevention at the University of Northern Iowa, and with the UNI football team as well. And so what we have is this curriculum called Coaching Boys into Men, and it focuses specifically on respect, integrity, nonviolence. So we have these playing cards, or training cards rather. It's real simple that we go through at the end. So we go through about an hour and a half, 2 hours of athletic training, and then we sit down and we have our curriculum that we go through in small groups.
Oh, excellent. So you lay it out, all the issues that they could potentially be dealing with. You talk about it. You give them some suggestions on how to deal with those situations. So you're teaching them how to handle those challenges, and how to take advantage of the opportunities that may come their way as well. But you use football as the core. And what does football, how does that relate to life lessons?
Just like anything else, whether it be employment later on, you know, if you want something, you have to go and get it, and you got to work to go get it. You know, some of the things that you learn is you develop a work ethic, teamwork. You're going to have to work with other people at some point through employment, punctuality. You know, being to practice on time, and accountability. So you're going to be held accountable for the things that you do if you do it maliciously. But if you make a mistake, we're going to talk about it. We're not going to beat you down. It's about building them up, building character in them. That's the neat thing, is the progression that we've had since week one has been amazing, and a couple kids in particular, we've already got testimonials from from within the school and from his parent, and so it's been amazing.
So we're going to look forward to you coming back and bringing a couple of the kids in the program as well. And we also know that football is preparation, so you're preparing them to be able to effectively participate in the game of life. There's adversity. Folks may stop you from scoring a touchdown, but how do you overcome that? How do you work together? So all those skills are important. But Officer Brandt, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to tell us about this extraordinary program. It is certainly creative and certainly needed. So we wish that every one of our young people would be able to lead happy, productive, and satisfying lives. And you have come up with the way in which I am sure will bring many to that place. Currently, you have dedicated volunteers, but are more mentors needed. Assuming a background of coaching or playing football and an interest in being a mentor, how can one become part of this project? But those answers, they can contact you. And what would be the number, or how can they get in contact?
My email is justin@hailmaryproject.org, or my cell phone is 319-883-9973.
All right. Thank you so much. And we will be checking back with you on the progress of this program. Bosnia and Herzegovina is a country on the Balkan Peninsula in southeastern Europe. Its countryside is home of the medieval villages, rivers, and lakes, plus the craggy Dinaric Alps. Following the breakup, I've said all those words directly, but following the breakup of Yugoslavia and related to it, the Bosnian Civil War was an international armed conflict and genocide. This took place between 1992 and 1995. And as a result of this war, many Bosnians became refugees and finally settled in the United States. And there are between 4,000 to 5,000 Bosnians living in the Cedar Valley today. Now their stories are being told, and more on this amazing historical transformation and the impact on the Cedar Valley after this.
Discover your past, present, and future at the Grout Museum District. Explore and play at the Bluedorn Science Imaginarium. This interactive science center provides fun, hands-on exhibits and live science demonstrations. Visitors can explore more than 90 different exhibits and marvel at the aquariums and enclosures that are home to a variety of amphibians, fish, reptiles, snakes, and arachnids. Enjoy both permanent and temporary exhibits at the Grout Museum of History and Science. take in a planetarium show, and learn all about the history of the Cedar Valley. Marvel at the Victorian elegance of the Snowden House and the Rensselaer Russell House Museum. Visit the Sullivan Brothers Iowa Veterans Museum and take in its traditional and interactive displays. Veteran stories are told throughout the museum's mini theaters, interactive maps, dog tag stations, and more. Visit gmdistrict.org for details, hours, and rates.
Bosnia and Herzegovina is the official name of the country that is most commonly called Bosnia. How did so many Bosnians come to the Cedar Valley and why? To tell more about this and the new exhibit at the Grout Museum District is Erin Dawson, exhibit curator. So welcome, Erin.
Thank you.
I think I kind of just tore up curator as curator. I'm sorry. So
I've heard it both ways. It's really all right.
All right. So Erin, tell us a little bit about yourself and what is a curator of exhibits?
So what I focus on at the museum is taking our collections and interpreting it for the public. So it's gathering up anything that we think is historically valued and trying to share that story.
Okay, okay. Mm-hmm. So you're the storyteller about the different things, and that's what curate. And what about you're a little bit about your background?
So I'm originally from Philadelphia. It's where I got all of my
Philadelphia, Iowa.
No, the Pennsylvania
Super
one.
Bowl. Okay.
Yeah, that one.
That one.
Yeah, made me very happy this year.
Okay.
I studied there museum exhibition planning and design. Then, to start my career, I came out here to see if I can pitch in and sort of build a community around us.
All right, we're honored. So tell us what the Bosnian portraits are at home in the Cedar Valley is essentially about.
So what we did with this exhibit is kind of new for us. We actually invited 2 different organizations to work with us. So we all gathered all of the objects and we kind of let them tell their story.
Okay.
So so it's very much about letting them express, their, how proud they are that they've done so much, and kind of just fill us in on what their culture is like.
Right. And why did so many Bosnians come here, to the United States and Waterloo as well?
So in the United States, there was a civil war that happened. It started in 1992. And it displaced a lot of people throughout Serbia and Bosnia and Croatia. So just as most refugees, like the Syrians today and Cubans earlier, we kind of taken them in and helped them start over. And then to get to Iowa, they actually initially settled in a few different places in the United States, and then IBP had a labor crisis, so they recruited.
Oh wow! And
the Bosnians were very receptive.
Well, I'm glad they were. Just great community family. But who's so helping you tell the story? Who's helping you create this exhibit?
So the 2 organizations are the Bosnian American Leadership Network, which I believe is a newer organization, and the UNI Center for Education for Holocaust and Genocide Education.
Okay. And let me read this question. How has Waterloo and the surrounding area changed due to the influx of Bosnian refugees coming into the area?
Well, it's helped us in terms of adding a bit of different local flavors. Like you'll see a lot of restaurants around town and possibly some bakeries.
Right.
They have a very big sense of community within their own country, and I think they've kind of spread that out. So we hear their interviews, because we went out and conducted interviews for this project. So we've heard them kind of compare the 2 countries, and they are very family oriented, very community based, and I think they brought that here and kind of pushed that out, as well as adapted to how we're so busy and
And when we talk about coming into the community, being part of the community, contributions, what are some other contributions that are being made as well?
So I know we've got a few, like we've had Vanessa Katazovic, who was the youngest,
yes, I know
youngest state representative, and first female and first Bosnian. So go her.
Right, absolutely.
She's pretty amazing. They've also, they really have assimilated pretty quickly. Like they went from not really understanding English to learning English quickly, working from Tyson. They moved right on up. We've got a few that are in many of the bigger businesses now. So I think they really they took everything on and sort of went at it in a very fast pace.
Right, and you're changing all these things and documenting history through the curation process. But the stories and culture share, you'll be reaching out and talking to people within the community to do this also, right?
We actually collected oral history interviews with community, and we did use both organizations to really pick out and tell us who we needed to talk to. So now we have them in our collections so that we can preserve history.
Right.
And particularly this story.
And I think within the Cedar Valley, I've heard the numbers about 4,000 to 5,000 being here. But what have been some of the challenges in relocating to the area?
Well, I think the major challenge is like they were in a very traumatic experience, surviving war, and then as part of their recovery, they were relocated to a foreign country where they didn't speak the language, and they kind of had to, and they kind of had to adapt quickly.
Right.
So I think once the language barrier was broken and they had, seen that it's a stable country, they didn't have much to worry about. I think that's when things really kind of took off.
And what the exhibit is a benefit to the Bosnian community in what ways?
I think it's a chance for them to celebrate what they've accomplished. And kind of share with us, like their view on Waterloo.
Right. One question I had gotten before said, someone asked me, "What have you ever done by yourself?"
Oh, me?
No, no, not by you. Maybe off camera.
I'm like, I don't do things by myself.
But it was an important question because I sat when I was asked, like thinking to myself. And that goes into the folks that you're working with and your commercial sponsors. You want to talk a little bit about who's helping to make all of this possible. Now you see, it takes a while to get there, but we'll get there.
We did have some great community sponsors this time around. Tyson Foods, which was formerly IBP, did step up. Friendship Village was another big sponsor, and as was Viridian.
Okay.
And I think all three of those businesses have ties to the Bosnian community. And we also got Dizjarovic Constructions. He's a local contractor who sponsored for this.
No, I'll just, okay.
Yeah. He has done a lot of work in Waterloo.
Right.
And then we had the Maiden family, and I know I'm forgetting somebody. Young Seating and Plumbing.
Right. Okay. So a great project highlighting history, richness of diversity and culture, letting us know about some of the challenges and the victories within our Bosnian community. So absolutely important. I want to thank you, Erin, for taking the time to explain and describe this fabulous exhibit. The Bosnian community is one of many ethnic entities that live in the area and contribute so much to the richness of diversity that makes Waterloo such a great place. This exhibit is for everyone, including those with a Bosnian heritage, and certainly a must-see exhibit for anyone seeking a better understanding of our neighbors. How long would the exhibit be at the Grout Museum, and what are the hours?
So we're open this exhibit is open until September 29th, and the hours are 9 to 5 from Tuesday through Saturday.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much. The Black Hawk County Conservation Board maintains nearly 9,000 acres of public land. Nestled between Waterloo and Cedar Falls is the Hartman Reserve Center, a 340-acre wooded area that boasts river accesses, wetlands, wildlife areas, bike trails, geologic sites, and a nature center, to say in a couple words. But recently, the 77-year-old Nature Center has been renovated in what is now a world-class center for nature study and interactive learning. And we will have more on the remarkable Nature Center and its marvelous new building after this. Since 1976, Hartman Reserve Nature Center has been designated as an Iowa Watchable Wildlife Site, an important bird area. If you take the opportunity to get out and experience the site, you may well witness deers, otters, turkeys, pileated woodpeckers. You heard me, pileated woodpeckers, and shouldered hawks, foxes, vultures, and bald eagles in their natural setting. And here to tell us more about the Hartman Reserve Nature Center and the new Interpretive Center is Connie Svoboda, Development Coordinator. So how are you?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Well, thank you for being here today. But before we dive into the Nature Center, tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, I grew up in Tama County and spent most of my career traveling around the Midwest, and then marriage brought me back here to the Cedar Valley. I worked for ISU Extension with the 4-H program, and then while I was working at UNI Museums, I was asked if I'd like to be on the board at Hartman Reserve, and of course I said yes. The area reminds me a lot of Tama County. And then a full-time position opened up, and so I interviewed for it, and I've been there for 6 years.
And you've been there for 6 years. What do you do?
Well,
what don't you do? We know
yeah,
it's a lot that takes place.
We all wear different hats. Mostly I'm responsible for the sustainability of Hartman, whether it's through financial contributions, asking the community for support, or marketing, public relations, thinking about how we can get people more invested in Hartman and the educational programs that we offer.
Right. So tell us a little bit about the newly rebuilt Hartman Reserve Center and the Interpretive Center, which is now open. How is it different than the 77-year-old building to now?
How much time do I have?
Right, 77 years.
Oh my. Well, as you noted, the building was built in 1941. It was a lodge for the YMCA, and so it wasn't insulated. It was very small, and then over the years it was added on to insulated, added windows, offices, and eventually the West Wing was put on there. Well, we knew that we needed to do something about that. I mean, we literally had chipmunks living with us, and we couldn't find where they were coming in from. And staff was on different levels, so that didn't, bode well for those with disabilities. And so when the campaign was launched officially, we had already done a feasibility study to see exactly what was needed from the community and from our standpoint. So now we have a building that where the offices are all together. We can better function as a staff. It's ADA accessible. Everybody can enter on one level. We have a room, the great room, the community room, is about the same size, but it just boasts these gorgeous windows that overlook the bluff. And whereas before we had these little windows that you could see out of, and here you can really have a full appreciation of nature. There's one of the diamonds is the learning lab. We really couldn't expand out, but we went down a level, and that's where our learning lab is. That learning lab is a dedicated space to our educational program.
Wow.
That was always a challenge for us because we had to share the community room space with rentals or other types of programs that were going on, and so you know, if there was a rental, we couldn't have a program up there.
Right.
Also, what's cool about the bottom space is in bad weather, there's a place to go.
Oh, okay.
And then expanding on that, it's a shelter. If there's awful weather, we can all go down into that area, as can the public that's on the grounds.
Right. And who are some of the donors that help realize this reality?
Well, the very major donors, like 6 and 7 figures, was led off by the Black Hawk County Gaming Association. Then we also had a state grant, a CAT grant, the Community Attraction and Tourism Grant. Then that was followed by generous donations from the Community Foundation of Northern Iowa. Then there's also R.J. McElroy Trust, Friends of Hartman Reserve, and then the Conservation Board also gave a donation that was a REAP, or Resource Enhancement and Protection Grant, the Black Hawk County allocation. Then, of course, the Board of Supervisors was a major factor.
So this
here.
was a community project when you bring everyone in.
Absolutely.
Not only the services you provide, the young people and people in general that you have an impact on, but people feel like they can give to something that's very much worthwhile. So that's wonderful. But I volunteered a long time ago. There's no pictures with afros or jerry curls of me there, but it
I
was.
think if we dug deep enough, we'd find something.
Yeah, you have an annual maple syrup festival.
Just had it.
All right, how did that go?
Really good. We were rather overwhelmed because not only did we have our usual people who came out for it. I mean, some people have come for years and years. It's a family tradition. But we also had the people who were interested in seeing the new building. And so we already have plans for 2 griddles next year. Everybody will be happy to hear that, and less waiting in line that way.
And then really quickly, you also provide a number of different programs there. What are some programs you provide?
Well, for educational programming, there's everything from STEM-related topics to leisure, more like recreational, because it's both educational and recreational that we specialize in. And then for public programmings, we have Paddle in the Park, where we take our canoes and kayaks, and people can come out and test their skills that way. We also have an Earth Day-like celebration coming up where people can learn stewardship of the land, get them closer. Did you know, have you ever heard of something called forest bathing?
I can't say that I have, and I've never tried it either.
Well, it's you know, studies have shown that just by being in nature, just standing there, lowers your blood pressure and reduces your anxiety. So, you know, you could go out there daily and you would be relieved of that,
I
right?
probably could be there daily, too, hourly.
So we're starting
to
gear.
You got any office space over there? So
actually,
you just walk right out there?
We do. So we're gearing more towards what the public wants as far as public programming goes. And then, of course, right now you can learn about the maple syruping process. We have people come out every day and gather the sap and then learn how to make maple syrup.
Okay. Well, you know, I want to thank you so much, Connie, and you do have a job that we could all envy. And I encourage everyone to visit often this beautiful nature reserve and the center. And a great way for all, young and old, to get out in the fresh air for exercise, forest bathing, relaxation, and education, all set in the midst of the Cedar Valley. And what are the visiting hours?
Well, we're open during the week from 8 to 4:30 on Sundays, 1 to 5, and then closed on holidays and Saturdays.
And any website or information that people can access?
Absolutely. You'll see real up-to-date information on our Facebook page, but also hartmanreserve.org. And let me add that the trails are open from sunrise to sunset every day.
Oh, wow. All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
In Waterloo, we have it all: wildlife, reserves, sports, bowling, dining, entertainment, and music, to name a few. And I will be back with a tip on how you can find out all that is going on in one place. So don't go away. We'll be right back.
A great college education is all about the connections you make. connecting with classmates with new ideas and with new technology. At Hawkeye Community College, you're more than just a student. You're part of a small community, learning the skills and teamwork you'll need to succeed in your chosen career. You've always dreamed of a better career, a higher salary, and a better life. The connections you make at Hawkeye can bring those dreams into focus. Hawkeye Community College. Connect.
Well, that's our show. We have an outstanding reference for entertainment, shopping, eating, sporting events, and other activities. And that is the Waterloo Convention and Visitors Bureau award-winning website, travelwaterloo.com. This website is for visitors and everyone who lives in the area. And remember to tell others that the Heart for the City episodes are available for viewing on the City of Waterloo homepage at cityofwaterlooiowa.com. Also, be sure to like Heart for the City on Facebook. So please join us next time, and thanks for watching Heart for the City. Until then, I think you'll agree, it's a great day to be in Waterloo.